Hi, this is Wednesday morning, I think it's the 26th, and I'm standing just outside Headington Hill Park, which is through there, facing the Oxford University Islamic Studies Centre. I'm making this video for user When in Spain, I think When in Spain 925. He asked me to do Headington Hill Park, Cuckoo Lane and Staunton and Sandfield roads in Headington. I believe he's in Spain, hence the name, and so I thought I'd start with this because it's something that you've probably not seen inside unless you've been to one of the Oxford Open Doors exhibitions, and you may not have thought much about it from the outside either, especially if you've not been along this road recently. It's an interesting fusion of, I'm going to say Islamic or Arabic architecture. I don't know enough to say more definitively than that, mixed with Oxford College quadrangle architecture, of which I do have a fair experience. But we can't go inside and see the quadrangle. But anyway, this is the University Islamic Studies Centre. And I'm now going to go into Headington Hill Park. The Friends of Headington Hill Park invite all interested persons to their annual general meeting on Tuesday the 8th of April 2025. We're happy to have our 2025 AGM in the original home of the park, Headington Hill Hall. And then there's some information about cash parking charges, wine, nibbles and so on. And this looks quite interesting. We are very excited to have ecologist Dr. Judy Webb as the guest speaker at the AGM, and she will talk to us about the spring fens of Headington Hill. Judy completed a Headington Hill Park survey in 2022 where she discovered the tufa springs, which with help we helped clear last August. Tufa Springs is underlined. I suspect this is a print of a web page. So if you look up Headington Hill Park Tufa Springs, you'll probably find a link explaining what they are. It's the first I've heard of them. So, spring flowers, primroses. Those are nice, big, healthy-looking primroses. Okay, well, let's continue with the Islamic Studies Centre while we can still see it. If you go inside it, which, as I say, I have done on one of those open door events, then you'll find that it looks as though it's been built in several stages, each with different materials and a different standard of quality. The front that I've just shown you is the most imposing bit, and at least to an unskilled eye like mine, looks to be the highest quality. Once you get inside, it's not so imposing. doesn't look as well made, and it's actually rather sterile. It has gardens, but they're very formal and not the sort of place I'd like to rest, not to relax. I did a video about it last September, around about September the 12th, when I visited as many of the Oxford Open Door events as I could. So if you look it up, you'll find it there. So let's return to Headington Hill Park, which definitely is a place you can relax in. Well, I say it's a place you can relax in, and it's lovely to hear the bird song, but there's a very irritating hum. I don't know where it's coming from, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Brookes University doing some building work just beyond the boundary of the park. Now, this is a big park, and I have to decide what route to take through it. I think I'll continue along the northern bit. Lots of leaf litter. Most of the trees are still bare, but they're beginning to come into leaf now. Look at that lovely fat bud up beyond the leafed tip. And that although I'm some way from it, one thing I like to do when I'm in the park is to walk roughly in that sort of direction behind the main road into Headington and meet friends in the garden of the White Hart, the pub opposite St Andrew's Church. It does Everard's beer, and I think usually a guest, which is very nice. And it has a menu featuring a wide selection of pies as well as things like fish and chips. Recommended. And it has a nice big garden that you can sit outside in. Now that is all new, I think. I'm talking about the buildings on the other side of the path beyond the park. And that brick, that red brick thing, definitely is new. And that is Brookes. Brookes have chopped down loads of trees, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2,000 or 3,000, thinking about how the land was before they did this. I think they started about a year ago. And they're just building student accommodation everywhere they can. And they don't show any more care for the environment than do Oxford University with the Castle Mill flats. One of the bits of the Brookes website says that they're a university that's committed to sustainability. But with the number of trees and plants they've removed, and as far as I can see, made no efforts to replace them, I don't see how anyone can say this is sustainable. This will be your first sight of these on my videos, because I now try to avoid this area as much as I can because it's so depressing. Well, here are some daffodils. And this is pretty much the dictionary definition of an idyllic British spring scene. Not all that many flowers yet, but plenty of new life. Birds flying overhead. So Brookes here are showing very much the same architectural sensitivity as they did when they built their original campus on Gypsy Lane. In case you're not sure, that's not a compliment. Right, I'm now walking behind the parks, or actually I think that's probably Brookes University ground now. Yes, it is. Headington Campus Centre for Sport. Now, I wonder whether Brookes will mind me walking through here. I hope not, because it's the quickest way to get to the other end of the parks. Looks as though I have to go round. And I don't know who Clive Booth is or was, but I think he's the guy who ultimately we have to blame for all this devastation. Well, I'm now on the bridge over the road that goes up Headington Hill. I don't know whether this actually belongs to Brookes or whether they're just the only people who use it. I don't know whether it's officially Brookes land. But I'm now looking along Headington Hill to Headington. And I'm now looking down Headington Hill into Oxford city centre. And although I haven't quite done what I wanted, or at least I haven't done it by the most elegant route, I have ended up roughly where I want to be, at the front of Headington Hill Park. So now I'm coming down onto the footpath or pavement alongside the main road. I don't know why it is, but the main thing that seems to come up this hill is buses. And maybe that's just because I used to use the buses that went through Headington a lot, so I have sort of significant memories of them. Anyway, that's the path from the bridge, steps from the bridge that I've just come down. I'm now on public land again, and I'm going to go back into the parks by its other side. And this is new since I last walked up Headington Hill. Don't know what's happened here. Got it. That must be the barrier that I tried from the other side when I had to divert. So I would normally have been able to come out here, I think. One thing about Oxford, which I'm sure has got worse, is that it doesn't seem to be much of preventative maintenance anymore. Things are just allowed to rot until they fall apart. And I wonder if that's what happened up there. Right, so now I'm looking into Headington Hill Park from the pavement alongside the Headington Hill Road. Well, I wonder what that is, or who owns it, and who it's been sold to. I bet it's something to do with Brookes. Unless maybe the council held it as part of Headington Hill Park and they've sold it off to raise money. That's always possible here. I think a lot of the plants aren't quite as advanced as they would be normally. Now, I'm glad to find the labels. Headington Hill Park is an arboretum, a tree zoo, if you want to think of it like that, and it apparently has a lot of rare trees. So it's very nice that they've been labelled, because I'm not very good at tree identification. And there is a website, a web address, for people who want more information. www.friendsofheadingtonhillpark.org.uk. Dairy Lodge. So this, I think, is the building that is being advertised as for sale. Oh, well, those daffodils are more advanced. These still have some way to go. There's somebody else reading a tree label. These are the rather splendid main gates to the park. And they look onto South Park, which is on the other side of the road and goes up alongside Morrell Avenue. That's just about parking places. So now I'm really not very much past St Clement's. And I'm looking onto St Clement's Church. It's some way back from the road. And here we have a tree trail. And I'll just read out a few of the tree names. Monkey Puzzle Tree, London Plane, Oriental Plane, Horse Chestnut, Coastal Redwood, Dawn Redwood, Bhutan Pine, and many more. Altogether it lists 51 types of tree. Well, I'm not going to try to do the tree trail now because I'd have to stop and write parts of it down and then think about how to organise it, and I probably don't have enough battery left apart from anything else. I'll do that a future time. So let me go a little way back up here because I think I saw some crocus. More nice fat buds. And that, I think, says Rhododendron tulipifera, tulip tree. Shame that I'm not here to see it flower. There's a wonderful aroma of fresh, moist growth hitting me. It hasn't actually rained for several days, but I'm still getting the scent. Ooh. Now what is that? Possibly a magnolia. In loving memory of Keith Parrott, a loving husband and father, Keith, you will always be with us, remembered and loved in a very special way. Love from your loving wife Elaine and daughters Rachel and Tanya. Keith was a valued member of the Parks Department for 32 years. He contributed to the success of the Parks Green Flag Awards in 2007. He will be sadly missed by his work colleagues within Oxford City Council. Well, that is splendid. Now let's me find those croci. Ah, there they are. I love those things. I can't remember the name. It belongs with CH, and it might be something like Kiridoxon or Kiridoxion. Bluebell. Rather solitary. And from what I've seen, these are the main plants in flower at the moment. The bluebells and these other things here, the crocuses and the daffodils, and that tree. But I'm sure there'll be more before very long, so I'll come back. Hopefully spring won't be entirely rain. And what I'm now going to do is to walk out of the park onto Headington Hill and then go up Marston Road round the outside of the park and then get to Cuckoo Lane. And that will start the second piece of video for when in Spain. This really is a gorgeous day. It's now about 11:45, so just before midday. Oh, and I forgot, did I actually look at the name of that? Well, it wasn't a name label this time. It's a different type of information label. The Circle of Life. Deadwood forms a vital part of healthy ecosystems. It provides habitat and a food source for fungi, mosses, lichen and insects. These in turn form the base of the food chain for many other species. Which reminds me that I didn't bring any lunch with me. So it's easier to process shorter videos than longer ones, and this one falls naturally into several parts. So I'm going to count that as the end of the Headington Hill Park video and call the next one In Search of Cuckoo Lane, and I'll go round the outside of the parks for that. I think I've got more chance of seeing what Brookes are doing that way, and although I don't particularly want to, perhaps I should. So see you in a minute.